diaper. So I'm doing a pocket diaper by Nykibaby. This is the pattern. I'll put the information below on YouTube for where you can find all this. First, I just wanted to go over the materials you're going to need. I'm doing one that is actually waterproof, so it's just your basic cloth diaper. So first things first, you need to get your material. I started with, this is a pool material, polyurethane laminate, I think is what it's called. You can see it's kind of shiny on one side, and then it's the cloth on the outer side. This is just your basic white. I got this from Joann's. I don't know how good it's going to be. You can order online. There's places online, but I'm going to try this. Then I got this kind of minky material. It's 100% polyester. You can also use like a micro fleece or bamboo or whatever, but the polyester will actually act as a stay dry kind of. It'll wick the moisture away, so it's good. And it's thin. I didn't want something real thick for the lining. So anyways, that's what we're doing with that. You're going to need snaps. This is also I got at Joann's. They have like, I think it's called Babyville or something like that. And so it has the snaps, and I got the snap press. This is to punch holes in your thing to put the snaps through. You're going to need scissors, elastic. I'm trying this clear elastic. I think it's also referred to as elastin. A seam ripper, because when you sew, you always end up messing up and need to rip stuff out. A rotary cutter is a great thing to have. It makes cutting out stuff so much easier and quicker and cleaner. The cleaner you cut your lines, the better your sewing project's going to go. This is a pen that is disappearing ink. So after a certain amount of time, it actually goes away. Make sure you get something that disappears, and you might want to test it before you actually start. Like I said, the pattern is from Nykibaby. You can get it online. I'll post her information. I've read through it. I actually haven't done this pattern yet, so it's going to kind of be a learning experience for me too. Although I do know how to sew, and I've made other cloth diapers. One thing I noticed in her pattern that she doesn't have is when you do the pocket opening, there's no flap. Like, this is a Bum Genius diaper, and there's a flap that covers that up. I kind of like the idea of that. Hi, Kenley. So I'm going to add a flap, and I will show you how to do that. It's very simple. So first things first, we'll need to cut out.
Hey, baby.
When you print this off, this pattern, which is the actual diaper, is going to be on each individual pages, and you'll have to cut it out and just tape it together on all the lines. So do that, and then I'm going to lay out my fabric and lay this down, and then we'll show you how to go ahead and start. Okay, so I've laid out my fabric. One thing I forgot to mention, this is the hole puncher for when you actually do your snaps. But what I do is I go through on my pattern where the snaps are supposed to be and go ahead and poke a hole. That way when I lay it down, I can take my marker and just push it through that, and that will mark exactly where, and it's easier just to be more precise. Another thing I forgot to tell you is pins. Since you're wanting your diaper to be waterproof, a lot of people don't like to use pins, but what I try and do is just put a few like real close to the outer edge just to hold it in place for when I cut it out. But I try and avoid the part that's actually, because you're going to have a seam allowance. So anyways, with that being said, I'm going to pin this down and cut it out. And so I've pinned it, and I was going to show you with the rotary blade. I was going to mention, this is just an old, my kind of craft table, so I cut on it. You're actually supposed to use like a cutting mat like this that's self-healing. I don't care if this gets cut up, and I don't mind buying replacement blades. So if you're doing this on your like dining room table, I don't suggest using this. But let me show you how easy it makes it. You just follow the outline. And you want to try and cut it as close to the actual pattern as you can, because the better your outer and inner pieces line up, the easier it'll be to sew it together. And you may have a few places where it doesn't cut all the way through, especially since I'm not using a self-healing mat. And you can just cut that with scissors or pull it apart. Okay, so you see we have our 2 pieces cut out. This is going to be what's going to be on the inside of the diaper, touching the baby's bottom. This has the pull cut out on the back of it. Right now I'm just going through and dotting all the little places that need to be marked. I even, like I said earlier, this is where I poked a hole through here so this ink is bleeding through, hopefully, onto the pool. I even marked places like your pocket opening, your elastics, and I see too, I forgot. Just so you have these on your pattern. So we're going to unpin this. And like I said, the pins are near the outside, so it should not affect the water resistance. Also, I think they recommend after you make this that you wash it and then you dry it on like a hot cycle. And that helps seal those seams and holes and all that. So you can see on here, you might need to go back through and like re-dot over, but you can see more. Okay, one thing I said I was going to do is I was going to add a flap. So I'm going to cut that out right now. All I'm doing is I'm just going to trace this material right here, and I'll show you later where that comes in. But I'm going to go down a little bit below the elastic because you are going to have a seam allowance. And this will cover, should match up with the piece you previously cut. And see, you'll do a seam allowance here. And then this will eventually be seamed and it will not even show because these will be sewn together. Okay, we're ready to start applying our snaps. So I cut out with just a little bit of the extra pull I had, just it's not precise or anything, just a thing to have reinforcements for the back, just so it's 2 layers thick, so you're not like ripping your pull when you're snapping and unsnapping these all the time. This is the little poker through thing, I'm real precise on my description, that came with this. So you just take it and you put it on your dot and literally shove it through your fabrics. You're then going to take your snap, let's see if I can do this, and put it through the hole. And make sure you press it down so you can see. You see it? Okay. And then this is your female snap. You're going to take your pliers and put it in. You're going to mess this up. I do it all the time, but you need to try and make sure you get it centered in there before you start pressing down, or it's going to crack this, and it's really hard to take off and really annoying. So take your time when you do these. If you hear it go like a click noise, then you've broken it. So, and you just press down, and your snap should be set. The way you check this, once you're done putting them all in, you can snap it down, and it should grab. If it doesn't, you can either try and put more pressure on it again, or you can actually take off this little cushiony thing and do it with that, and that'll help press down that middle part more. So you're just going to continue. I'll do one more. You're just going to continue to do the same thing on all these. And on your pattern, it's marked whether it's supposed to be the female or the male. And what I mean by that is the female has the hole, and the males look like this, and they're the ones that snap in. They have a raised head. And so you'll just continue to do that for the rest of your pattern for where all of those are. Just finished attaching all of my snaps. This is the back side, or the more secure. Here's the front. you can see most of these are going to be the female, and then you have the two for the rise adjustment that are the male. Now, so our next step is to do the pocket opening. So you're going to have your facing piece, which is this little square or rectangle piece, and you are going to put it, you need to mark on it on the other side. I shouldn't have stuck it down. I marked where it goes, and on this fabric I also marked where my facing goes and just matched those up. So it needs to be right side to right side facing down. You will see the wrong side of the pocket facing. So do that, then you need to flip it over, and on the back I just drew off exactly what I'm going to do. Here's where the slit will be cut, and then I'm going to stitch where this purple line is around. So, and I did this all with my marker that disappears. Okay, we're going to use one of the shorter stitches, and so let's go ahead and get started. Just lower your foot down, and like I said, we're just going to sew around where I drew this line. When you get to a corner, put your needle down, pick up your presser foot, and just turn your fabric. You don't have to end or anything. Another corner, needle down, turn your fabric. Make sure you back stitch when you get to the very last part so that it doesn't come undone. Pull it out, snip it off.